Anecdotes for success. Level up with truth, meaning, trade-offs, perspective.
All right, Matt, today we have JT Ungerland. We go way back. What year did you graduate high school, JT?
Geez, 2003, I think it was. Yeah.
2003. So I was still a teacher and this young, aspiring, brilliant entrepreneur was graduating. I wish I could say thanks to me, but what he's doing didn't even really exist. So JT, it's great to have you on tonight.
Good to be here. I don't know why my video keeps stopping, but
we'll work through it. No big deal. As long as we can hear you, we're good.
And I think the viewers would be happy if our video stopped, Matt, but
I think maybe
JT,
you're right.
Go back as far as you want. Talk to us. Where do you want to start? Give us some background. And then what happens is Matt will start asking most of the questions because, like I always tell our viewers, Matt doesn't know you yet. That's what's the brilliance behind this. So I'll keep my mouth shut and let you go.
I guess I'll just do a quick, since I left off from probably you in high school. Really just kind of worked out of high school. I worked for FedEx for actually till just last year when I finally quit because of Amazon. I took over my dad's landscaping business when I was 26 years old, so 2011 that was. And I've just been growing both ever since. I do a little bit of apartments as well. I have a few of those. But just within the last year here, or 2 years, kind of got into selling on Amazon, and it's really just taken off to heights that I never thought it would get to.
JT, why so you didn't go to college, it sounds like?
I did some college. I didn't finish. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, to be honest, out of high school. Right. I guess I always was an entrepreneur at heart, but it just kind of found my way, I guess. At FedEx, I quickly moved up to be manager of the outbound sort, and I ran that all the way up until, like I said, I quit in April 2020, or 2021, sorry, and grew my landscaping business. Alongside of that, I would do landscaping during the day and FedEx at night, because it was a night position. And yeah, I just always, winter with my landscaping business, winter is always a slow time. So I always look for something to do over the winter. And this, I tried my hand at trading stocks and trading crypto, but, realized that I'm not good at that.
Yeah. So take me to your, you're doing FedEx, which it's a normal job, right? It's a job. You get a paycheck, you work X amount, someone pays you for the work you do. And at the same time, you've got your landscaping job or business, not job, but business, which also requires time out of you. Between the two of them, how many hours a week you working?
For then, I was working a lot. I worked all day pretty much. 8 in the morning till 3 o'clock or so, and then I'd go in about 3:34 to FedEx and work till 9, 10 o'clock at night, and it's pretty much a grind. So
right. But with what end goal in mind? Did you have an end goal? I'm gonna someday grow this landscaping business so far. I don't need FedEx. Someday I'm gonna get such a promotion from FedEx. I don't need the landscaping business. Where was the end?
I think it started out was climb the FedEx ladder, and then eventually got to the point where I don't really want to do this anymore. And it kind of shifted, I guess. It was a great job for a long time and I got a lot out of it, but right around COVID time, every day turned into Christmas at FedEx basically. And it just became nonstop stress.
Yeah, so I've heard that.
There was about the time where I was really making an exit plan.
So how many hours a week were you working during the two of them?
So my technical job at FedEx was only part-time, but it was the perfect job for me because they were always busy and I could always get as many hours as I want. So I could pretty much run my landscaping business, till mid-afternoon and still make it to FedEx. And, that it just worked for me basically. Yeah. But then it turned in, like I said, to a time where COVID came and we got busier and they needed more out of me. And it just turned into I got to figure something else out. So, and that's right around the time when I found Amazon. So, it pretty much
tell
worked
us,
out.
tell us about that. Well, the first thing I was getting at, I guess, or wondering about is, I hear from people all the time when they have a job. That FedEx thing was kind of kind of your job, and then they say they want a business, they want to create a business, whatever, do their own thing, and I say, well, we'll do both for a while, and they look at me like, well, what do you mean? There's only 40 work hours in a week. How could I possibly do both? And I say to them, you got to make some sacrifices in this life. Don't look at me and tell me you want something. And then when I give you a solution to it, you give me the, well, I only work 40 hours a week kind of look. And I'm like, well, yeah, go ahead then. See how that works for you. You'll never get anywhere that way. That's what I was kind of trying to see where you fell within that paradigm, if you will, because I always find that very curious. Because I think as an entrepreneur, what I tell people, and this is what I had done myself, is I did work for other people. And then I tried to bring in my business ideas and do those part-time until I found myself in a position where I could tell the job, just like it sounds like you did, that I'm done with you now. Now it's full-time into the business. And that's what I did. And I think for most people, under most circumstances, that's the best route. So I was curious, about that. So, but it sounds like that's what you did. So then all of a sudden you find yourself in this Amazon situation, which I know nothing about. So by all means, fill us all in on that.
Just to touch base back on what you said, I guess I really was happy with what I was doing for a while, doing the landscaping and the FedEx. It kind of just worked for me. And I really didn't, it really wasn't a problem until the end, kind of a thing. And that's, I guess I was just happy with what I was doing. And it just, like I said, the Amazon thing just kind of happened. It was coming up to winter. It was, like I said, October. I usually look for something to do over the winter to keep, because I'm not as busy. And I just started seeing, it was TikTok actually. My daughter got me hooked on TikTok, and just kind of started seeing these things about reselling in general, of just going to garage sales or whatever, or the thrift store, and finding stuff to resell on eBay or whatever. And then I started seeing Amazon stuff, and it was kind of one of those things. I don't know, this probably won't work. Honestly, I didn't even know you could sell on Amazon until around this point. But it just turned into let's try it. So, I just basically
take me through that. What are you, scouring your house and stealing your children's toys and selling them, or what? What we were doing?
So that's what they usually recommend is when it's kind of an idea. They say you have a couple $1,000s worth of stuff in your house.
No
if
question.
you really looked around and said, hey, I don't really need this, I can sell it on eBay. So that's usually where they recommend. A lot of people that I, in the research I did, was start with that, get some capital going and stuff like that, and just get the hang of it. But yeah, it was pretty much that. I just really dove into everything I could learn about Amazon and how to find stuff. And, I started out just going and hitting Walmart and stuff like that, looking for stuff to sell. Through the research, I found there's programs that help and websites that help and stuff like that. So, that kind of moved things along for me. But it was one of those things where I just went out shopping and bought some stuff and didn't really think it was going to sell. I threw it up, and all of a sudden, your phone goes, it makes a little ding noise the first time you sell something, or every time you sell something, and the phone just started dinging. So
tell me, I've never done this. I have a vague idea how it works. So you literally go to Walmart, for example, pick up a Lego set.
Yep.
Bring it home, buy it, bring it home, post a photo or whatever the details are in some fashion.
So on Amazon, it's a unified listing, unlike eBay. eBay is like your item, you list it, and then if someone else has the same item, they list it also and have a separate listing. Amazon uses a unified listing system pretty much, and we're basically just adding stock to it.
So it's like a giant store, you're just stocking stocking the shelves with your item.
So
and when your item's up in the queue, if you will,
pretty much, yes.
Someone buys that Lego set. Paul buys the Lego set, and he doesn't know where it's coming from. He doesn't care. It just comes and gets shipped from your house, or
so there's two sides of Amazon you can do. It's called FBM, fulfilled by merchant, which would be just exactly like that. You would buy the products, hold them at your house, list them for sale on the listings. When they do sell, then you're responsible for the shipping to ship to the customer. But when you do that, you're also responsible for everything, returns and the customer service. What I mainly do anymore is fulfilled by Amazon. So we're buying products like that. We're identifying products that basically we can find cheaper and sell for more on Amazon. And we're going and acquiring those from either online or in the store and building shipments into Amazon warehouses. So our product goes to actually Amazon. As soon as I ship it out from my house, it's Amazon's problem. They do all the picking and packing and shipping to the customers. They handle all the returns. They handle all the customer service. And we're mainly buying, or I'm mainly buying name brand products that already have the advertisement done for me. So I'm just attaching my stock to that listing.
So you're saying do you have a
I guess my business, yes. So I have my wife helps me, and later when we first started, she was kind of I don't think this is gonna work, but at a certain point she finally hit where, okay, yeah, I guess we are making some money at this. So she kind of came on board pretty much full time, helping, because you have to prep the items too, like in bags and stuff like that, to protect them. So there is a decent amount of work front loaded, I guess, before you send it to Amazon, between protecting your product by bagging it up, and then you have to put stickers on it so they know it's your product. But I have her, and then we've also grown to a point where now we have another prepper that comes over and helps us prep, one of her friends. And then I also have a virtual assistant from the Philippines that helps me do like product research and find stuff to sell, basically. So pretty much the sky's the limit. When I first started, or I guess not when I first started. When I first started really kind of getting the idea of, okay, this is going to work and I might be able to quit my job at FedEx to do this full time. Through my time, I met certain people that are in the industry and just kind of had some talks with them of like, okay, is this long term or is this just because of COVID? And these sellers are long term, been doing it for 10, 15 years successfully. And, without telling me what to do with my life, basically, they told me, it is possible to make a real thing of this. So that's where I started realizing, okay, this is a real business. This is not just selling a few items on the internet. So from that point, I really kind of just dug down and researched and figured everything out I could about Amazon. I did it for a whole year. That's all I did for a year, basically. So I think that's part of the reason why I was able to grow so quickly, because I did put a lot of time into it. You see, if you've ever seen it on social media, they make it sound like it's an easy, going to be a millionaire in 2 months kind of a thing, but it's not. There are times where it's passive, but there's a lot of work put into it.
Sure.
So, but
Paul, it looked like you're going to ask something. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So GT, when we talked on the phone a while back, I asked you, you're going to come in and talk to my students about this. I mean, we're going to wait till fall because this, why wouldn't you look into this, period, right? I asked you the question if you thought it would be saturated if too many people, even from this area or in general, did it. And do you remember the number you threw out at me?
I can't remember what it was, but something like, what was the exact number about the more sellers on Amazon?
Well, the one you told me that blew my mind is the average person, the average account, I think, sells 50,000 a year.
Oh yeah, that one. And that was only like 1% or something like that. So
yeah. No, you told me at the time it was 0.0 something. I mean, whether it's 1%.
If you do 50,000 in sales in a whole year, you're only 1.001% of the what do you want to call it there, in the whole, what everyone's done, basically. So no, it's not saturated. It is more competitive, or it is competitive, or getting more competitive, but it's not saturated. So
there's room to start, especially I mean, it sounds like you did what Matt and I talk about all the time. You worked hard at it every day. You found other people that were willing to help you, and then you actually listened to them.
Yep.
Knowing it's
I will say 2 years later, because so there's a lot of tools out there to help you. There's Discord groups and stuff like that that are just kind of resellers in general, but a lot of them have started shifting more towards focusing on Amazon because Amazon's so hot right now. And you can get a lot of information out of there. There's websites you can use to find stuff. But honestly, I've met people along the way, and I've created kind of a group of these 5 people from basically all around the world. I have one in Chicago, one in Florida, one lives kind of by the city here, one in Alabama, and just people I met through reselling and being in these chats and stuff like that. And we formed a group together, and we kind of help each other out and give each other tips and ideas, saying what's hot, what's not, and hey, go buy this. But that 5-person networking group that I created has been the most. It's produced the most for me over my course of selling on Amazon, basically. So it's.
What happens if you buy something that doesn't sell? I mean, obviously, I guess you sit on it. I mean, is that a common problem? Do you control the price? I assume you control the price to some degree.
Yes, so you can control the price, but you can't control who comes in and lowers it. So there are a lot of programs that help. One of the key programs is called Keepa. It basically charts all sales data on Amazon. So when I'm doing my research, finding these products first, I'm finding that they actually match. So say I go to Walmart.com or something like that. I find a product on Walmart that looks good on Amazon, and there's a price difference. Make sure the listings match, make sure it's the right thing. And then the Keepa charts will literally chart every single sale on Amazon. So you can see for the past 3, 6, however long the product's been listed, what ranges of price it's been selling at. So you can calculate if you can get it for X amount of price and it'll sell in this range that you're going to be profitable, basically. So I don't want to say I don't ever take a loss, because I have taken them with unforeseen circumstances, but for the most part, the majority of my product is, researched well, and at the very least, I'm getting out of the product with a small return rather than, the 30-40% return on investment that I'm looking for when I find a product, or better, whatever it may be.
Sure.
So it's kind of like a cheat code almost. You can literally see how a product's been selling and decide whether you want to buy it.
So
is that free, that Keepa?
There is a free version. The paid version is not very expensive. It's only like $17 a month, to be honest. It's one of the most powerful tools for everyone on Amazon. And the free version just doesn't show as much data basically. So, but it's there's a fair amount of research that's involved. So I also use a program that helps. It's called Tactical Arbitrage. So I can literally scan Walmart's website on the internet, and it'll automatically look for price differences on the same products that it finds from Tactical Arbitrage and on Walmart's website onto Amazon. And it'll spit it out basically in all the data for me, and then I can go through it. So that helps as well. So it started out as me just kind of going to the store and kind of scanning stuff, figuring out what's going on, to figuring out what all these programs are that everyone uses to find the products for me easily, pretty much. So
I'm looking at it, I'm looking at where the consumer aspect of this. I'm the customer, and obviously in this, you're a middleman. You're just grabbing a product, pricing it accordingly, and making it available to someone. As a consumer, why do you think, or maybe why would a consumer be willing to pay more for a product that they could pick up just as easily as you can, I would think, or am I missing something here?
Well, there's quite a few answers to that. The top one being laziness and convenience. Yep. Those are the top two. Okay. The other things I've found over my time of doing this is the supply chain and pricing, I guess, and retail altogether. Retail does not talk to each other at all in any form. Walmart doesn't talk to Target. Target doesn't talk to Bed Bath. If they all got on the same page, this would not happen, pretty much.
Interesting. Yeah.
but they don't
Yeah.
talk. So
So there's a
they're all
gap
priced
there.
different.
There's a gap, right?
Additionally, stuff I can buy here in a Target does this all the time. If it's a nicer area, it's priced higher in their stores.
Sure.
So the other thing I found out too is like, so clearly Walmart's the cheapest retailer out there, Walmart and Target. But sometimes I'll go search like say a Walgreens or a CVS or something like that. The same product I can get at Walmart for $10 is still on the shelves at Walgreens and CVS for $22. So some people that only have access to Walmart and CVS and Walgreens might not know the difference anyways, and they're already paying 22 at there, but they can just still buy it. I can buy it from Walmart for 10, put it on Amazon for 22, and they don't know the difference, kind of a thing.
Right.
So that's another basically answer that pricing is all over between all retailers. The other thing is sales, certain sales. Sales are regional sometimes. I can get it in New York for X amount, but Florida's still selling it for $5 more. And then the last thing would be why I'm able to do this as well is you start adding in cashback credit cards, cashback websites, and I don't have to pay sales tax at a lot of retailers because I have a reseller certificate. So there's 8% right there, another 2 or 3 for cashback, and then your credit card gets cashback as well. So in a game of percents, you're already 10, 15 down right there just from your no pay and sales tax and your cashback websites and stuff like that.
And it is a game of percents. All of it is. So that's huge. That's right. That's even money, and you're still picking up percents, right?
Exactly.
That's fantastic.
And then you really don't know the power of Amazon until you actually sell on it, but it moves serious volume. So, something that you're only scalping $2 on, you probably sell 200, 100 or 200 a month if you had the stock for it. So,
what's Amazon take?
So they take 15 flat on either side, FBA and FBM. But if you do FBA, they do have extra fees for the pick and pack fees and stuff like that for them handling all the shipping. But honestly, it's really nothing because so when you do FBM, you're on the hook for shipping. So say I sell something and it's a buyer in California. California shipping is way more expensive than if I send it to Virginia from New York. I can't control that, but I still have to price my item competitively to sell, but I can't control if it's a California order.
I see.
That really starts to eat into profit when you start paying too much for shipping. When you do FBA, your shipping is it's basically you're using Amazon's account. So a 50-pound box might cost you $10 and you might have 50, 60 items in there. So your price per unit goes way down when you can ship. Yeah, and then also I haven't done it before, but you can also schedule pallets, small truckload and stuff like that. So you can get it down to 15 cents a pound sometimes by sending in quantity like that. So that's where you make your money, is knowing all that stuff and how to work the shipping and your sourcing basically of the product. So
interesting.
I heard a number once that 50% of all money goes through Amazon. Do you believe that? I don't even know where it came from.
It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I honestly, I don't have an exact number, but I would have to bet that people don't use Google anymore. Or I wouldn't say anymore, but I would have to say that people probably search Amazon more for an item rather than just going to Google. So it's just more convenient. That's also one of the reasons why it works as well. People just want to go to one place and find everything. And as annoying as it is as a seller, Amazon did a really good job at catering to the customer with allowing them to return whatever they want. So the fact that they know that they can return whenever something happens, or even if they just don't want it anymore, the guarantee of being able to return is huge. So it's not fun as a seller, but
what's the, I mean, do you have software that tracks, like when you have products, how long until it's sold?
Yeah, I do.
I mean, does stuff stay on there for years or months or never?
I
Or
I plan on selling it within 30 days when I send something in. Pending it's all, so Amazon takes a little bit when I do FBA, so there's a lead time a little bit, but technically my product goes live as soon as it scans off my porch from UPS, as long as I'm priced competitively enough. I honestly think what Amazon does is they know I sold it at X amount of dollars, but they really send someone else's stock they have in the warehouse and just shift around. Because I've literally sold stuff as soon as it goes off my front porch before. There's no way they had it in their warehouse. So I think
it's
they're
almost like it's almost like what banks do with money, though, when
Pretty
when
much.
they want.
I don't have any way to prove that, but sometimes I wonder if that's how they get it done, is they take another seller's stock that was priced much higher that was never going to sell and send it to the customer as my price, and then they just shift the inventory in the back end. But
Sure.
it's very possible. But no, I tend to, so I usually shoot for 30, I would say 30 to 45 days with the, sometimes it can take about 2 weeks to fully check in. Because what happens is when I send to an Amazon warehouse, they'll put it's random, but they'll put some units in that warehouse and then they'll transfer it to their other warehouses wherever they want it, basically, so they can sell it to the customer and ship it within, 2 days. But it could take 2 to 3 weeks sometimes to fully check items in. I have anything at 90 days, I pretty much liquidate. So I don't carry anything longer than 90.
How do you do that? Just lower the price super low, or?
Yeah, so there's all kinds of software with Amazon. Amazon is, I guess I also sell on Walmart Marketplace too, and no other, eBay, Walmart, don't touch, do not even come close to what Amazon has put together between all the software you can use. So I use what's called as a repricer. So all my products I send in, I can set them up to reprice in a certain range. So if I want, if I'm profitable at 25, I can set my repricer to reprice the item from 25 to 27, and it'll randomly change the price for me all the time to make it look like either a new seller coming in or whatever it may be, and it helps me stay competitive to sell more stuff, pretty much. So
What are you doing in terms of inventory on your own end? I mean, are you stacking it all in your garage and in your your basement, or how does that work?
Right now it's all, I basically set up my warehouse in my basement. I have a pretty big open basement, so I set up shop down there. Yeah, my whole house got taken over at first, pretty much. It started a little bit in the bedroom, and then the piles got bigger, and then it moved into the living room, and then we realized we needed to do something, figure something out. So typically though, with what I do, I don't sit on inventory very long at my house. I'm trying to turn it around and get it right back in. So with when my wife came on board, and now that we have a prepper all the time, our stuff is getting turned and sent in pretty much on daily. A day or two, it's going in as soon as we get it. So it doesn't really stack up that far anymore. But for a little bit there, it was pretty bad. So but
So
I actually,
is everything you're selling brand new off the shelves of some retailer? Or, I mean, you said you start looking around the house, find, there's thousands of dollars. Is that what some people do? They sell used stuff or garage sale stuff, or how's that work?
mainly Amazon is all brand new stuff. You can sell used on certain listings. I don't. The comment before about going through your house was kind of selling stuff on eBay to kind of raise capital to start doing other stuff.
Got
But you can sell used. I just don't on Amazon typically. My whole cycle is if I end up back with something that someone returned, I pretty much just send it to eBay or sell it on eBay. But no, mostly used stuff is eBay for me.
I see.
So, but it's all brand new retail stuff.
But what a great model that if for some reason it comes back or didn't sell on Amazon, you have somewhere else to sell it.
Exactly. So that's, sometimes you can also just return it back to the store if you really want to. I don't really do that anymore, but yeah, starting out, that's why the barrier to entry is pretty low for Amazon. you know, a lot of people ask me, how much capital do I need? How much capital do I need? You really don't need any. If it's just going to take you longer to scale, basically, if you have less. So it got to a point for me where I realized I had my systems down, and it really just came down to buy more, sell more. If I can't make sales if I don't have product, so it's kind of turned to as simple as that. But yeah, technically you could start with very little, and you know, just sell your way up pretty much.
So tonight when we're done with this, I could open up an account. I mean, say it takes I don't know how many days it would take to be approved. I could scour Walmarts and Targets online, buy some stuff online. They come to my house. As soon as they come to my house, I send them to Amazon, and I might be a little sketchy at first how it's done, but eventually I could have software and tracking models and figure out what to price it at and what to do. And I could never leave my house.
Correct.
I know it's not that easy, but I could do that, right?
Yeah, correct. You don't have to leave ever.
I mean, do you get majority of your product? Do you shop online to have it come in, or do you physically go out in stores?
So like I said, when I started, I hit stores, and it's very doable, but it's very frustrating. So obviously you don't always find anything. So I quickly realized that I'm out here driving around for 6 hours to all these stores, and I got 2 things to sell today. I didn't do very good. So, and some days I'd go out and I'd have a car full of things coming home to sell. But I started realizing that I was wasting way more time than if I just did it online. And then that's when I really dug into figuring out how people source online, pretty much. But then as I progressed, I started realizing that just keep it simple. I pretty much only go to Walmart. That's the only store I shop at. It's the cheapest. It's easy. All the Walmarts are set up in the same, pretty much same pattern. And I realized as I was sourcing with my tactical arbitrage Walmart, I would see products that I was going to sell online, but I would just put them on a list for in-store also. So it would give me something to go for. So I would create these Walmart lists and then just go in store, and like during Christmas, I would just have a path. I would walk the same path and look for all the same stuff every single day. And eventually you get to the point where you start noticing what's on shelves and what's not on shelves, so it gets a lot easier. But I really just dialed it down to hitting Walmart only, and then I would just go hit them all in a certain area. So, but I don't really do much retail anymore. When I do, that's how I do it. But technically, yes, you can go to every single store. You can go hit the whole mall and just look. It's not all clearance items either. There's tons of stuff that are just regular priced items that people will pay more for, whether it's because it's a shortage or hard to get or whatever it may be. There's tons of things that are regularly priced out there that you can look for.
So if I remember, you're to the point now where if there's a product you want to sell based on Discord groups or research or software or friends and mentors, you won't go there necessarily. You'll go, do you get bulk right from a manufacturer? Like, do you bring that much?
I do have a couple wholesalers I work with and stuff like that. But the majority of the stuff I just order online. I just order a lot of it. Yeah, just regular Target or Walmart. So
when you say a lot, how much is that?
Like, what do you mean, dollar wise or product? Like,
no, product wise. Like, is a lot 10 items, or is it 75 items?
A lot would be like 50 to 100, which usually would be good for a month or so. It's not always easy to get that is the problem. So, but yeah, it's usually so. Typically, my whole strategy and I still do this to this day is it's called go wide, not deep, pretty much. Meaning Amazon's so random. I've sold some of the most random things on Amazon. You'd be shocked, but you just spread your capital across a wide range of product, but you don't go too heavy. So you test buy basically. So I would, depending on the price of the item, anywhere from 10 to 20 units, I would send in at first just to see how it sells between all my research from the Keepa that I mentioned, checking the price charts and stuff like that. But I would normally send in like a test buy of 10 to 20 units, see how it sells through. If I get 5, 6, 7, 8 sales right in the first day or two it checks in, I'm immediately going and buying more and replenishing and sending it in. And it's one thing I figured out, and it makes sense, but the more you keep your items in stock, the better you do. Amazon sees that, and they'd rather keep the price consistent with your item than switching back prices with all the other sellers. So you tend to get way more sales when you are able to keep product in stock. So, but it's all one big cycle of that. And then the whole goal is trying to find items that stay good, and continually you can just go back and buy more and buy more and buy more and never really have to look hard for it because it's an easy item. Those are the products you're looking for, basically, those evergreen products that you can go back to and just, keep cycling product in, all while you're looking for more that are going to eventually hopefully turn into that kind of product as well.
Now you're 2 years in. Is that like a 50-50 ratio, 70-80, 90-10? Like what percent of your products are go-to products? Or is it just hard to know? I'm just curious.
So I've had a couple die off. They die off. So I would say a good 40% is all right now, because I've had a couple good ones fall off, and a good 40% is probably replenishable stuff that I've been selling for the whole almost the whole time I've been doing Amazon. But the thing is, these products, they were good for a reason at one point. So what happens is sellers flood in, drop the price, and then in a month or two it'll be good again. So that's one thing I do, is always keep track of all my data, and I'll go back through all the time, or every month or so I'll go back through old things I was selling and just check everything. And then also with Keepa, you have the ability to track the pricing, so I could set an alert on it and say, hey, I want to know when this product goes back up to $36, because that's what I'm going to sell it at.
Right.
When I get that alert, then I start buying it again. I can do it the other way too. I can also, because actually, I can actually buy off Amazon and sell back on Amazon. So Amazon has a business account, and sometimes they only offer the products to business customers. So I can go right on the business account, buy all these products, get it to my house, or resend it back in on my seller account, and basically sell it for more than what I paid for Amazon. So I don't know why they allow it, but they do. So
do you think, go ahead.
Where's the growth? Where's the future? Is this something you're gonna do till the day you die? Till you retire, kind of thing? I mean, how are you looking at the current circumstances, I guess is what I'm asking.
And let me preface that quick. You started this in 2020, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're not even 2 years in yet.
Nope.
Okay, I just wanted everybody to know that. So go ahead. Yeah.
That's what I think I've done. Lifetime, I'm approaching, I think, 800,000 in sales so far since I started. So, but to your question, I think I love doing this, to be honest. I wish I figured this out 10 years ago, if it even existed that long ago. I probably would have a much larger business at this point. But for me, I love doing this. It's kind of exit plan for me, I think. I honestly think I can grow this to a point where I can step back and just manage pretty much a team. I know other larger sellers than me. Like I mentioned, I have a virtual assistant from the Philippines. So she basically does product research for me and does the sourcing basically to tell me what to buy. I know larger sellers that have a whole team of them. They have say 5 sourcers looking for everything. Then they have another person that goes up and verifies everything. And then they have another person that does all the buying for them. So they technically don't even buy anything. And these larger sellers utilize prep centers as well. So that's one thing I looked into. It's still pretty expensive, way more expensive than finding in-house at home, pretty much. But technically, you could just send all your stuff to a prep center, and then the prep center does everything for you and sends it to Amazon. So there's large sellers that literally don't even touch any product. They just manage a team that they taught them how to do everything, and they just sit back and keep it running. So,
those sellers, do they pay them based on product sold, percentage, commission, monthly, or?
Yeah, there's a lot of incentive bonuses for, like mine, I pay a percentage of the amount of profit she generates from her leads and stuff like that. And then I'll set certain monthly goals of things of like I want to see X amount of leads per day just to kind of boost productivity and stuff like that. Or the accuracy of the lead or something like that to make sure it matches and it was all the right pricing and stuff like that. But yeah, it's heavily incentive based. These guys are, so they're making quite a bit too. The virtual assistants, so in these larger companies. But
Now you said 800,000 in 2 years. You don't mind talking the numbers?
No.
So year one, what's that scaled from year one to now? I mean, it hasn't been the same.
what my first full year selling, or
Yeah, like how quick into this, or two questions you can answer either. How quick into this did you say, wow, this is something I really got to put my all into? Or was there an amount you got to that said, wow, I really need to put my all into this?
So I guess October 2020 when I started, I did about 40,000 without really knowing what I was doing, still trying to figure it out from till the end of the year, basically. It was Christmas. Things tend to sell easier and for much more during Christmas, but I figured a lot of things out. By about then was about when FedEx was starting to get to me, of just nonstop every single day. It was more and more volume every single day. Around, I guess, from January to April is really when I started realizing that, okay, I need to get out of FedEx basically. And I started looking at what I was doing, and I had about 100,000 in sales from January to April. So I kind of decided I think it's time. So I was only trying to shoot for 250,000 on the first year. I kind of ran all my numbers and figured out what I should make off that and what I need to make to be able to leave FedEx. And it was only 250, and I ended up doing 420 or something like that, I think it was. And that I probably closer to 450 total reselling, but 420 or so was on Amazon. And then this year, so by this point, winter, I was fully all in. So I didn't, the previous year I still worked at FedEx at night, and I didn't really have as much time to devote to Amazon. But this past winter, all I did was Amazon. So we really dug in and built our inventory way up and got more processes down, and really things just started going. And we're at like 330 or 40, I can't remember where we're at this year exactly.
Less than halfway through the year.
Yeah, so not too bad. I think my goal was 1 million. I really wanted to get to 1 million. My numbers have kind of dipped a little bit just because we've been busy landscaping now that all started and stuff like that. So it's been a little tougher to keep everything going as much as it was. But I still think there's a shot to get there. So that's what I'm shooting for.
Do you have like a 5-year goal, 10-year goal, or is it too soon to publicize? This isn't going away. Like this whole thing's going to get bigger, right?
No, I guess I don't really have any goals. I just kind of see that this is a legitimate business that I can run and make a very good amount of money at, and really just something I'd like to do long term, I guess. So I don't really necessarily have any goals. Basically, just to be able to continue to live my lifestyle that I've built, basically, and be able to have my time back pretty much. So I mean, I do put a lot of work into this, but it's also on my time and whenever I feel like it. And it's much different than going and punching a clock somewhere.
It sounds like you got your systems
Well, it's funny
down.
too, you take a company like Amazon that gets a ton of heat for being this giant corporation, and all the heat they get in terms of what you see in terms of how they treat people or pay people or any of that. This stuff that in my mind is just outside noise, political noise that I'm not interested in. But the other side of it is this: people like you, just an individual with a local guy in our area with a family can really change your upside in terms of your income and your lifestyle. You just said about punching a clock, which most people don't say that with, punching a clock is a really great thing. Most people don't look at it like a great thing. They want the freedom, right? They want to be able to run their life the way they want to run it. And to be able to have that opportunity because of an Amazon is another side of that coin we don't hear about that often. And I just thought it'd be worth mentioning that opportunity doesn't exist without Amazon and Walmart and et cetera, et cetera. And I'm not, it's not because I have some affinity for these giant corporations. Frankly, I don't in some ways, and I do in others, but it's just pretty cool that you can use this behemoth of a corporation to use what they have to offer to make a living off of.
Yep.
Pretty amazing.
Exactly. The other thing to point out too is third-party sellers like myself brought in more money for Amazon than Amazon did themselves selling. So
is that right?
Yep. I think it was something like 60% of their selling volume was actually third-party sellers, not actually Amazon listed.
Wow.
So
in a weird way, Amazon's a small business, and you know what I mean. It's certainly connected all these small businesses. That's a staggering statistic, and pretty cool in its own right.
They're turning into more of a warehousing and logistics business rather than a reseller or retailer or whatever you want to call them. So
interesting.
Yeah.
So as we finish up, and I mean, Matt, ask as many more questions as you want if something comes up, but the two things I want you to say is, if you're graduating high school right now, why wouldn't you start this? Like, why don't people do this?
I don't know, to be honest. When I first started, I kind of felt like a jerk going to do this stuff. You know what I mean? Like hitting a Walmart and just buying everything on the shelf kind of a thing. But if I'm not going to do it, someone else is going to do it. So you kind of just got to be like, not care kind of a thing.
JT, I mean, in all honesty, in all seriousness, and I get where you're coming from. I get where you're coming from. You're thinking, God, they could buy it for this, but I'm charging them more. And my guess is you haven't held a gun to anyone's head, right, to buy it.
Nope.
And so they're buying it because they get value out of it. I mean, and this is I guess more of a classroom discussion, but it's not. It should never be. But it kind of feels like it's like, no, you're providing a service that people are voluntarily participating in, and it's requiring you to make some investment, work. You've hired people. You're paying people. You're building a business around this. I mean, I get where you're coming from, but I just look at it, and then maybe it's because I am a business guy and I just see things through that lens more or less. I see a guy who just went and provided value to customers out there and is getting paid to provide value. And I don't think there's anything better than that. And you're winning, they're winning, Amazon's winning, Walmart's selling products, or whoever you're buying from. I fail to see the victim in this.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah, exactly.
So
sorry, Paul.
No, that's what I wanted. I wanted that discussion. So
there's really no reason. I mean, especially obviously if it's something you like to do, I mean, it's very easy to get into. Even just like I said, starting out with a thrift store or something like that. There's plenty of things.
So that's it. So if Matt and I mean, tomorrow when we hang up from this, we were two people that really wanted to start this. What advice do you have? Like, what's the first step? What are two things you recommend? How long would it take to get going? Just end with how someone could start right now with this.
Like starting with little capital or no?
Yeah, you tell us what, like, now that you're through it, like how would you recommend starting it? Say you were building a team or just giving advice to somebody. What should they do to get started?
I guess if you're in the lower capital situation, you don't have as much money to start, I would start at thrift stores and rummage sales and stuff like that, and start with eBay to get your money up. and start getting sales, just kind of start learning the shipping process, because that's also something you need to know how to do, is to ship product and where to go to get everything, and know that you can get free supplies from the post office and some free supplies from UPS and stuff like that. I would say if you had more capital and want to just jump straight into Amazon, do the same thing. First of all, open your account, because that does take about a week to, sometimes more. They actually send you a physical code in the mail to verify that you actually live in the US. But open the account, and then I would just, really research. There's tons of free YouTubes, and there's a lot of actually good content out there for free that you could find if you really wanted to look for it. That's what I did. It started with the TikTok videos, and that led me to following this guy and following that guy and finding his YouTube and finding their YouTube, and really just digging into what they had to say. It would basically be do your research. And then don't be afraid to get out there. Just, as I said, a lot of the Discord groups that I'm a part of, I also moderate for some of the chats. So I kind of also help people get started. And the biggest thing I see is people saying, "Oh, I'm just going to start tomorrow," or, I'm going to get to it, but you just got to just go do it. I mean, that's what I did. I just pretty much had it in my head that I'm going to do this, and I just hit these stores. I didn't really need to be out there, to be honest. I was already, had a good thing going. I didn't need to start it, but I did. So
some yes or no questions to end. I lied. That wasn't the last question. If I'm a student going into freshman year of college right now, and I committed to doing this on the side, when I graduated in 4 years, would I be going to my career that I went to school for, or would I be doing this full time?
if you really put the work in and built, yeah, you would be continuing with your Amazon business, I think.
That's what I was hoping you'd say. Next question. If I didn't like my job, so I started Amazon today, in 1 year, would I be able to quit my job? If I did the process you did and was consistent? Or is it longer? I mean, you tell me.
You could. I was in a different position. I already had things going. I didn't really need the financial side of it. I pretty much dumped it all back into inventory, into growing. So if you can withstand that, then yes. If you have something like if you have a sustainable job, even if it's only working at Starbucks or something like that, if you can live off that and just keep putting all your time and energy and money back into your business, and yes, you could in a year and be able to quit. But it is pretty cash intensive and capital intensive at the beginning. So, but like I said, I reached a point where I realized buy more, sell more. So that was the way to grow. But yes, it's possible.
At the end of the day, I mean, what an opportunity, Matt. We talk about decisions and trade-offs, and meaning what a way to get out of a rut you're in, or just to pivot, or just to have more money or change your lifestyle.
Yeah. There's all sorts of angles with it.
That's the thing. I've met so many people doing this, and I have never found one person that sells the same way. Everyone has a different way of doing things, and it works. And it's just, yeah, there's so many possibilities of certain niches you can get into, or certain ways to sell your product, or certain business models. You can run all kinds. I don't think I've ever met someone that had the same, and they've been all successful at Amazon. So it's really just getting out there and doing it and figuring it out.
JT, so, thank you. Promise us you'll come back in a year or two and talk about the numbers. I want Matt and I want both our jaw to, well, I'll probably talk to you ahead of time, but I want Matt's jaw to be like off the screen.
Sounds good to me.
Which no doubt it will be. I mean, you're rocking it. I've known you a long time, and what a cool thing to start 17 years after you graduated high school.
I know.
I give you a lot of credit, because we talk, Matt and I have side conversations all the time about people that 17, 20, 30 years later still complain about what they're going through, but they don't do anything about it. And you did. So kudos. So
exactly.
All right, JT. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, JT.
Yep.
Take it easy soon.